Alright guys, hope you all had a good weekend, hope you're all kept safe. In Friday's video I talked about a new feature coming with Title Update 11, confirmed by the devs in their weekly This Week in the Division 2 article. And this will be discussed on Wednesday's State of the Game. Now, I didn't script that video and I simply couldn't think of what it could be in that video, but since then I've had a think, and I think it's out of a few things really. The devs already confirming that someone has said it in a Reddit post. With that said, let's take a look at what people have said in this post and talked about and what it's likely to be. If you enjoy this one, drop a like down below, stick around until the end and subscribe for Division content. Let's begin. So to start off with, if you didn't watch my video last week on Friday, here's a little bit of a recap. So Ubisoft released an article titled This Week in the Division 2 on Friday, which just highlighted what's going on in the game. It talks about, the Huntsman League, the Manhunt, the maintenance from August 11th, and that state of the game will be returning this Wednesday, the 19th. Now, usually I wouldn't really pay much attention to these types of articles because they really are just a recap of what's going on in the game, and they don't really have any other information. But there was a little nugget left dangling there like a carrot, which said there was no State of the Game stream this week, but we will return on August 19th with a new look at a feature coming with TU11 that's been a popular request since the early days of the Division. Now, this one sentence has led to a lot of speculation about what is coming with Title Update 11 and what we can expect to get. Now, just to be clear, when I read this sentence, my interpretation is that this is a feature we wanted with the Division that was highly popular, but it never made it to the game. I just wanted to make that clear because some people have read this differently and they're talking about features that we got in the Division but never made it to the Division 2, and that's how they read this. But I don't think that's the case here. I think this is something we've never seen, but it's something we did want and we've just never had in either of the game. Now, this appears to be something we've never got. So one of the first things that people started talking about was Skyscraper, the new game mode coming with Title Update 11, but I knew this wouldn't be it. Firstly, I wouldn't call Skyscraper a new a feature. It's a new game mode, and I never remember any kind of request for a Skyscraper mode in the Division either, unless I missed that. Fortunately, this idea of it being Skyscraper was quickly dispelled on Reddit, where Johan, the community developer at Ubisoft for the Division, responded to these comments about this, saying, "All I will say is that we're not talking about what we internally call Skyscraper this week. It's not related to mods, and somebody in this thread might have already guessed it correctly." Now, this comment all but confirms that a comment from someone to the Reddit post about the article has correctly said what it is that's coming. So let's see what people have said and talk about this new possible feature. The first comment I come across with something new that was talked about a lot in the Division came from Reddit user Glacier Hills, who said, "The only thing I can imagine that was requested since earlier days of Div 1 is a PVE Dark Zone." Now, the idea of a PVE Dark Zone, it comes up every so often and has done since the early days of the Division. I think it's probably way more popular in the Division than the Division 2. I even talked about this in a video on Friday a little bit. Now, there are rumours of a new Dark Zone coming at some point set in New York, following a comment from a Red Storm employee on Twitter, and that's where the rumoured kind of started and ended basically, as nothing further has come of it as yet, if ever. With that said, if there is another coming, will it be a PvE Dark Zone? I've always been against the idea of a PvE Dark Zone, so I hope it is. I hope it's not, to be honest. I do not think that it is what the devs are talking about, though, as I wouldn't consider a new area like this, a Dark Zone. I wouldn't call that a feature. Instead, I would probably fit this into the same category as the Skyscraper mode, and that's just new content. So, what else? Reddit user SuperDad0721 responded saying, "It's either transmog or a mobile app." Okay, so this is actually what I think it is. Not transmog, although this is something I would like to see. I just don't think this is what's been requested from the community since the Division, so I don't think it fits into the remarks from Johan or from the article itself. A mobile app that lets us kind of change gear, change weapons, etc. is something we've wanted since the early days of the Division for sure, and it's what people have been asking for a very long time. I think that this quite possibly is the highest requested feature for the Division series so far. Now, in the early days, I remember being contacted by someone to help build a website like this, similar to Destiny's DIM, the Destiny Item Manager, the website everyone uses on Destiny to swap gear, weapon, and everything outside of the game itself. I didn't accept it and I didn't go anywhere with this, but this is something the Division needed. It's something that was being talked about, and I think it's needed even more so here in the Division 2 because there's way more options to choose from and manage now than ever before. And would this feature be game changing? I think it really would make a huge difference in this game. For me personally, I don't get a whole lot of time to play the game, so when I do play, I want to actually go and get into the world and, you know, fight NPCs and do missions and that sort of stuff. I don't want to spend my time, you know, in the base of operations trying to figure out a new build. Having a mobile app that would allow me to make builds and all of that stuff when, you know, I'm at work or, you know, on my break or I'm in bed, for example, in the evening, it would just make things way better for me. And that has huge benefits, not just for me, but for everyone. When I play Destiny 2, I always have the Destiny Item Manager website open, swapping weapons and gear all the time, trying to, you know, find something new, something fresh to play with. In the Division, I pretty much just stick to the same build, you know, the same weapons all of the time, because I want to play the game rather than spend all my time at the base of operations sifting through my stash. I know that's a big part of the game, that's just not a big part of the game that I personally really enjoy. I'd rather just be out in the world actually doing stuff. If this what is coming, I really hope the devs flesh it out fully. It would be great if we could get not just, you know, the swapping of gear and the weapons and that sort of stuff, but maybe there could be a way that we could use the recal library and the crafting station as well on this app. That would be, I think that would be game changing. Imagine how awesome that would be. Again, this would allow us all to jump on the game and actually play the game rather than, you know, live in the base of operations. Fingers crossed this is the feature coming, because this is the feature I most want. Moving on, and Reddit user North Distortion said, requested feature, ? Maybe crossplay ? Now this is a very real possibility. I think that this has as much chance as a mobile app as being the feature talked about in the article for TU11. This, like the app, has been something talked about since the early days of the Division for very good reasons. Firstly, and again personally, there's a lot of the Division community that I'm friends with who are on PS4 where I'm on Xbox, meaning I've never been actually able to play them with them or against them. Crossplay would be the solution for this problem. Secondly, this would really bring the player base together, something that I feel that the game desperately needs, especially when the player base is much smaller in comparison to the launch of the game. With crossplay, it will mean matchmaking should be much quicker. Activities like the Dark Zone, they should be more populated more frequently, which is always a good thing. It's something that I think the game needs, and if there is a Division 3, I'd hope that this feature would make it there as well. Is there any negatives to this feature? There is perhaps one I just wanted to highlight because it will come up should this become a feature. That's with PvP. In a third-person shooter, people are going to complain that PC has an advantage with mouse and keyboard over console players. Personally, I'd happily take that one negative for crossplay to make it into the game. I just think the positives outweigh that one negative. Would I prefer crossplay over, you know, an app for gear and stuff? For selfish reasons, I'd choose the app. For the health of the game, I think we just need both, really. Next up, and a suggestion myself here on what might be coming, that's actually a companion app that allows you to join your team of friends in-game as a drone, accessible through a smartphone or a tablet, anytime and anywhere. As you can see, this is something that was meant to come with the Division, and it was included in all the promotional material for the game, but was dropped for release, and we've not heard anything about it since. Is this something that was highly requested from the Division? I'm not too sure, to be honest, but it's certainly something people wanted to see in the game. It was new, it was unique, but it didn't turn up in the game. Would this be something worth having in the Division 2? Yeah, I think it would be a very cool feature for sure. Better than having crossplay or an app for sorting items? Not for me, but for others, this might be the best feature the devs could implement. I would certainly love to see something like this come into the game. I think it would be really, really cool. So let's wait and see what happens with that. One thing I mentioned off the top of my head in Friday's video was the stealth mechanic. Does anyone remember this from The Division? It was included in, again, in their promotional material. Now, I tried to find the footage of this stealth kill from the original marketing material of Ubisoft, but I've not been able to. Other people have uploaded it, but I don't want to use other people's content, so I'm not going to put it in this video. On reflection, you know, it wouldn't work in this game. Is this something we might be able to get in a future title in the Division series? Quite possibly, but it's not going to work here, so this won't be the new feature. It's clear from these that it's likely either going to be crossplay or it's going to be an app to sort your items or an app of some sort. I'd be absolutely stoked for either of these to come, and I think the game desperately needs both, to be honest. So fingers crossed we get both, although we know we're only going to get one of these with TU11. So that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think is going to be down in the comments below. If you have stuck around to the end, really do appreciate it. It's like the best support I can get is when people watch the entire video. Thanks very much for all of your support. Of course, on Wednesday we got State of the Game, the first one in a while, where we're going to get to learn about this new feature. We may or may not learn more about Skyscraper. We don't know yet. If you haven't got notifications turned on, then please turn them on, and that way you won't miss my recap of that State of the Game. Pretty much the first recap that will go up on YouTube. So make sure you got notifications turned on for that. And with that said, yeah, until the next one, guys, epic out.